You probably read the title and thought, well, that's impossible. Most of us assume that being able to take a mental photograph is an inherent ability, something beyond what typical normie scrubs could ever dream of having. But what if that's not as true as it's made out to be? So that's why I spent the last few months going to extreme lengths trying to find out what conditions would be required for people to begin being able to improve their memory past what they previously thought was possible. Whether you're smart, dumb, have good memory or not, I wanted to see if it was possible to make any progress on such a thing. Jesus, this video is so stupid. Alright, so my idea is first to find a way to measure what photographic memory actually is. The thing is, basically everyone already has the ability to remember visuals, unless you're blind. It just functions constantly on a very low subconscious level. This is something called iconic memory, but the issue is, it tends to suck ass. These visuals tend to be forgotten after only half a second. On the other hand, when you're consciously trying to remember visuals, it tends to last around 15 seconds for the average person, before fading away. Although this is where the idea of photographic memory comes in, and between 2 to 10% of the population, they're able to recall photos in great detail after 3 minutes, just with brief exposure to a visual. And honestly, even scientists aren't even sure if true photographic memory even exists. So these individuals more realistically have something called eidetic memory. But that's not the idea behind this video, to say either you have it or you don't. No. The idea behind it is to challenge the debate behind trainable memory, to see if anyone, regardless of where they currently stand with their memory, can put in personal effort to see long-lasting growth. So in order to test this, we should probably perform an experiment using the people on my Discord. As you can see, I happen to own a server with 13,000 very intelligent and respected people alike. And my idea is to try using them in a 30-day experimental trial. But I can't do that all here, so we're gonna have to make a new server. Name, training pornographic memory. That's good enough. And of course, we gotta slap on a beautiful young Sheldon server icon. Now, this will be the place where they'll be training. So the way I'm gonna be able to control everything is by making a bot. Invite that to the server real quick. Yes, there's a sexy memory trainer bot. And how it works is by using this token here, I'm able to communicate with it and make it create whatever games I want. And they should be pretty easy to track. So I began working. And the first thing I implemented was a system so after anyone joins, they're directed to a consensual sheet. Therefore, giving me, say it with me, legal permission to fuck with their psyche. Yep, there we go. Anyways, when this is accepted, a unique individual channel with their name on it gets created, and only they are allowed to view their own channel. But because I'm admin, I'll be able to do a little creeping around. Anyways, inside these channels, the bot will provide them 3 memory-oriented games to play. Each one will be fixated on gauging different parts of the brain, and the first one I want to work on was a game where fruits randomly generate on a shelf. The goal of this game is to only be exposed to this photo for 4 seconds, and then it disappears. And then a new photo gets shown, very similar to the one that you just saw. And you are asked, did anything change in this photo? Yes or no? The idea behind this game is to contrast visual stimuli, to spot the difference, or declare if there's even a change at all. And after you answer, if you got it correct, then it regenerates and you can keep playing, trying to get a higher score. So now it's time to code it. I spent a good few hours picking out certain fruits and scaling them to be the correct resolutions. It was a little annoying, but eventually I got them to correctly generate onto the damn shelves. Then I needed to work on getting it to generate the second image. The formula I decided on was there would be a 50% chance that there's no alteration, and another 50% chance that there is an alteration. But in the odd side it is, there's a split chance that either one of the original fruits get removed, or one of the original fruits is swapped out for another fruit. So now whenever the code is ran, we get 2 files, shelves with fruit 1 and shelves with fruit 2, very descriptive, and from there we get a nice glance at both pictures. So we can look at that and... Ah, look at that, it works, that's fucking sick. Look, the banana changed into an orange there. So I got a basic version of the game set up on the Discord bot, where it shows you a pic, you remember it, it disappears for a moment, and then it shows you the second pic, and yeah, the apple changed, so the answer is yes. Now it moves me up a level because I got it correct. The leveling system works because in the assets folder, I have a bunch of fruits loaded up, and depending on what level you're on, the shelves have a random chance of being one of these things. So level 1 and 2, there's a 16% chance that there's going to be an apple or a banana, and a much greater chance that it's just going to be air. But on level 3, you get the odds of an orange as well. Level 6, we add grapes, then watermelon. Then on level 20, there's a chance that a golden apple spawns as well. And just because naturally how statistics works, as we add more fruit, there naturally becomes less and less room for air, and more room for obscure things that you're going to have to try and remember. So here's the thing, I was just recording myself playing around, experimenting on the higher levels, and there's something I noticed. If you look at this footage of me playing, hold on, let me, Yeah, look at that! There's a fucking blur hiding in the image whenever the photo is sent. It's just chilling there for like a good half a second. So I did some scurrying around, and I found out when the message is on Discord's empt format, look, there's no blurry lag anymore. And also, the game runs even more beautifully now too. I even set up a high score system for the game to encourage people to improve. Anyways, that's enough for game 1, which was all about contrasting images. Now for game 2, I want to do a practice that relies on sequential recognition. The idea behind it is when it starts, you're counted down, and then quickly shown a random array of photos. Once it's over, you're then asked, hey, what index was this photo in? And the goal of this game is to accurately keep a mental record of every photo you were shown. So the answer here would be 4, because that was the 4th photo shown. But the issue is, with developing this idea is, once again, Discord is shit, and to be able to have a message and quickly edit the photos inside of it isn't really possible, because the way Discord bots work is by using the Discord API, and whenever that's called, you're able to make the bot do whatever you want it to do. Only issue is, the service is completely free, and therefore, clunky as shit. And what I mean by that is you're only able to make 1 call per second, or in other words, the game would only be able to run at 1 FPS, which is way too much time to properly code each image. So my way around this is, instead of making multiple calls for each image, what if we just made 1 call that was a pre-compiled, randomly generated GIF? So then the time spent viewing each image in the series could be more customizable. And I can't lie, because I want to start putting out videos sooner, I started trying to form a developer group. You know, thinking if I surround myself with these people, even in a 2 AM call, we would get some good work done. But no. This was my first impression to seeing how Apollo is Cool made the game look.
Oh yeah, we're balling.
We're balling?
Let's go.
Let me look. Dude.
What is it?
I love it. Did you literally just download like 3? Excuse me?
That's fire, bro.
So, it was absolutely beautiful. It had the 3, 2, 1 start. It had the quick-paced random GIFs from whatever junk we had available on our computers. Chef's kiss. The next thing we added though was for the bot to randomly take one of the photos and ask what the index was. And whether the user gets it right or not, we got this sexy little graphic showing them where it is in the series. But the interesting thing is, this game operates differently than the visual game, where in that, whenever you lose, you always start at level 1, and you try beating your high score. In this game, however, we have an elo system, where whenever you lose, you just go back 1 level, and whenever you get it correct, you go up 1. So you can play an infinite amount, it just adds more photos as you keep going up. But now on to the next game, which in my opinion is probably the most interesting one, and that's because this one is all about maze navigation. You see this maze here? Cool, now it's fucking gone. The idea of this game is, after only being briefly exposed to a picture, or in this case a maze, we could see if anyone could solve it. So then we're able to quantify just how much visual information we could hold in the brief time that photo was in front of us. But the thing is, we need a reliable way to generate mazes randomly and quickly. Thankfully enough, if you think about it, mazes are actually just graphs, structured in a more appealing way. We have the exact same edges and vertices that make it up. So this also means we could apply the same algorithms we use for exploring graphs to generate mazes, such as the one I'll be using, first step search. Which, a pretty nice and easy way to explain this is if you imagine it like a blind person trying to navigate a room. If they start here, they may start by going around randomly. And this works pretty well, until inevitably, of course, they crash into a wall. And just like any intelligent blind person, we go, fuck, that hurt. And then we backpedal and try going a different route. And if we actually leave this blind person here in this enclosed room for long enough, they'll eventually explore every single possible route, leaving us with a maze. This is so stupid. And it's actually a pretty good maze too. So this is exactly how we're going to be able to generate unique mazes for each level, because as the levels go up, I also made the size of the maze expand as well. All it needs now is to save the direction for each maze it creates, and have 4 buttons so the user can navigate it. And if they make even a single wrong turn, we send them down a level. And on top of that, to make the game more fun, I made the endpoint spawn more randomly. So when the time's up and you have to start navigating, you have to remember absolutely everything. The only aid I gave was that you're given an empty cutout of the maze without any of the walls. So you are completely left with only your memory and your mental ability to solve the maze. It's kind of like that one Mr. Beast game, but with even less scripting. Anyways, now that we have 3 pretty unique memory games, it's time to figure out how I want this experiment to be laid out. My idea of doing this is by separating all the lab rats into 4 groups. One that could only practice the visual game, one that could only practice the identification game, and another puzzle group where people could only practice the maze game, but now also a final combination group, which has the ability to practice every game as much as they want. The reason I'm doing this is because then by tracking the results, I can see just what forms of practice tends to help the most. And the last thing I did was make it so once every day, regardless of what group you're in, you're asked to play 1 test game, which essentially asks you to do a 1-take Andy at every game, including the identification game and a maze game. which are ELO-based games. So it goes in order, and if you fail even a single time, it automatically moves you on to the next game. Then once you're completely done with the 3, it finds the average score that you got and saves it to an SQLite3 database. Great, so now after putting up some money as a reward for those who win each category, the experiment is now ready to launch. But there's still one issue. If I'm getting people to play and practice the games, who's to say that I'm not actually fully evaluating their memory, but rather progressing them to only be good at their respective games? So that's why I actually want to throw myself into this experiment. And just to get the most exposure, I'll place myself in the combination group. Not only do I get to play more games, but also it's my video, I could do what I want. But now because I know I'm going to be in the event, this here is a human benchmark test, where we'll try measuring how good I can encode visual stimuli. The idea is I'll be given a grid, where randomly certain squares will light up briefly, then hide themselves. The goal is to click all the ones that lit up in order to move on to the next level. And I want to see if just by taking part in this event, if some skill that I've gained from it rubs off into other aspects of my life. And I'll be using this game to quantify that. So then after the experiment, I'll play another 3 games of this, and I'll be comparing my average score I get on the 3 games from before and after to see if I improved. This game is really satisfying. Oh, I did not see that well. Something down here, I don't even know. Yeah, okay, that's not a good score. Alright, so now that we got 13 on the first one, let's just create a new tab and put that in. Yep, excellent. Now we play this again. Yes, that's pretty nice. Uh-huh. Oh, I'm choking so hard. Alright, that's another 13. That's pretty spread out. I'm not sure if I can. Yep, okay, put that in there. So I got 13, 13, and 14. And just to make sure I did the math, that it should be 13.33 average, which, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not very happy about that. That's a bummer. But I'm really interested to see if just by doing the experiment, I could get a higher score than that once I'm done. So now it was time. On day 1 of the event, I announced it to my YouTube channel as well as my Discord, trying to get as much people as possible inside of it. And, things quickly went to shit. People were noticing some weird physics creating rooms and messing with the games, and honestly, it was totally my fault, but it did lead to some pretty funny things happening on the first day. Like this dude who just joined the server and got #1 rank on the Maze Game leaderboard because they found out by starting the game, if you feel like the randomized endpoint is too far away, you could simply just leave and reopen it to get the exact level you were just on, and hopefully you have an easier maze. And by doing this process for long enough, they were eventually able to get to level 24, far above all the non-cheaters. They even called this truly revolutionary bug re-rolling. Very innovative. So I banned them and then fixed the bug and deleted all their data. Anyways, aside from that, I thought it'd be pretty interesting to try getting my friend B-Spot into the event, because he does actually have a pretty good all-around memory. Okay, B-Spot got put into the visual group.
I mean, what do I have to do?
You could just type play, and it does it.
In general?
No, in your channel.
Or in the bot?
Yeah,
like...
in the B-Spot's
memory
room.
trainer.
Oh, dumb. Oh, shoot.
Wait,
Yeah.
I didn't see that one on where?
And the
I don't see no...
B-Spot's room.
Oh!
Yeah.
Play.
And
You will be
basically,
shown 2 images. There's a 50% chance there's an alteration. Your job is bot and see how long you can last. Number 1. So, memorize it. Okay, 1 banana.
there's 4 bananas there, dude.
Yeah, or 1 apple, 4
Oh,
bananas.
shoot.
Did anything change? Yes!
So proud of you.
That many apples, that. No.
Something changed.
That many bananas, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this one's easy. Very changed, yes. Free.
Dude, there's nothing that changed.
I thought the apples were the bananas and the bananas were the apples.
When he started out, I noticed that his scores weren't immediately really good, so he asked me.
So what's your strat for the visualizing?
My strat for is literally just go 2, 6, 5 or something like that. And I just count like immediately, like,
Oh, and then you count how many like things there are in the end, so like if it changed.
yeah. And then right after, he started running trials again, getting scores now like 21 and putting him up all the way in 2nd place. And then right after, oh, 34. Wait, you're in #1 right now. Yep, you're in 1st place. It restarted you back to
I'm almost 10 ahead.
You could chop up this crazy raisin skill to be nothing more than practice, but using strategies to memorize things is widely recognized and even memory tournaments as extremely crucial. And yes, these things do actually exist. These types of memory strategies that they tend to use in these tournaments are often referred to as mnemonic techniques, and they could be learned by anyone. The one I told B-Spot to start applying here is something called chunking. By looking at the endgame image with all the fruit, you could remember them individually, or because the human brain is really good at pattern recognition, we could instead start counting them by groups. 5 oranges here, 3 bananas, 2 grapes, and 1 golden apple. So now we're essentially simplifying everything down to just a list of what to look for. And if anything differs from our list in the result image, the answer becomes extremely obvious. Throughout day 1, the leaderboards fluctuated a lot, but as the day was nearing, I remembered, wasn't I going to play in the event? Oh yeah, the entire point of all of this. So I began grinding, and I slightly played the identification game and the maze game, and I did alright on them, but the main thing I wanted to do was the visual game, because out of any of the games I have a chance at being good at, it would be this one. And also I can't have B-Spot being in first place for any longer. That's just not happening. So just to spite him, I then spent the next hour going till 1 AM getting better and better at the chunking technique. Oh, this is a good run so far. Level 25. Just gotta keep answering accurately. Nope. Yep. Nope. No. Nope. Ah, level 34. I think nothing changed. I beat B-Spot's record. Now I just gotta keep going. Oh shit, I actually think I screwed this one up. Yes? Ah shit, no, level 48. Okay, that's sick. Oh no, it's starting another game. No, exit, stop, check my stats real quick. There we go, 100th percentile. And on the leaderboard, rank 1. I'll be copying this and there we go. Yep, you'll be seeing that in the morning. For our next few days, people started settling in, but there was one dude who immediately made everyone suspicious. At Kitty King, Hassam is hacking. At Kitty King, make sure the Hassam guy is playing fairly. At Kitty King, I'll show you my nuts if you let me get the rope. But actually, what in the hell? This dude got level 37 on the maze in just 2 days. Look, he's even higher than what the cheater guy has a score, and is more than double the first actual person's score. Like, how is that even humanly possible? I can't lie, I was just vibing in general, talking to people, and then bam, get better at puzzles, nerd. Like, come on. I'm chilling in my 8th place. You don't gotta do that to me. I started watching him play, and I was pretty certain this guy was legit, but just how was he doing it? Well, I wanted to figure it out myself first, and also I had to take his advice a bit. So I started playing, and I started developing a strategy that tried breaking down the maze as much as possible into verbality. This is because lots of the mazes have repeatable patterns. If the way to solve it is by going through this twisty part here, I would label that as snake, described by these narrow corridors. Then once I'm done following that, I would likely end up here. So what's next is I would remember staircase 3, because I would be going down a staircase-like structure 3 times. Then I would remember flat, which means go till the edge. And after continuing the snake, I would reach this part where I finally only have to remember to just go left and then up for a bit. And just like that, in order to solve this maze, my mental image doesn't have to be crystal clear to work, because as long as I remember my process, I should probably end up at the end. And I decided to put this visual verbal association technique to the test. So throughout the 30 days of the event, I played around 300 games of the maze just to see how much I could perfect this strategy. The result from all this practice ended up lunging my score from a measly 14 points all the way up to 26, firmly placing me in 2nd place and at the 99th percentile, which is respectable, but it's still nowhere near Hassam's score. In fact, this Hassam dude is so interesting that by the time the event ended, not only did he end up winning the maze category, but he also won the standardized test category and also absolutely destroyed my visual game record as well. But hold on a second, that doesn't really mean anything. So what, in my giant experiment, I eventually found someone who has exceedingly good memory. It was probably bound to happen, except the thing is,
Hello.
hello. I know, like, you told me about this a bit when we were, like, talking, but you were telling me, like, how in real life, like, your friends called you having goldfish memory and whatnot, like, all these things.
Like, I find it hard to, like, memorize descriptive memories, you know, like someone's name or someone's, like, age. But as for patterns and, like, for a short period of time, I think it's pretty doable.
Because, like, do you actually think that you don't have, like, good long-term and you have better short-term?
That's a funny question. I don't have both, sadly.
You think that you don't have either?
No.
Wow.
'Cause, like, you know, I would find it really easy to forget someone's name, like, so maybe long term.
Interesting that you still, like, claim that you're pretty bad at it.
Kiddy, I tend to tell everyone, if it's the first time I'm meeting you, I'll just tell you, hey, don't get mad if I forgot your name. I tend to do that a lot. Like,
really?
That would, like,
You
like,
actually
that
say
happens
that?
a lot. Yeah.
He has bad memory, yet he somehow has such an absurd ability to recall short-term visuals, that he's even able to solve the most absurd mazes after only viewing them for like 6 seconds. And just when I thought it couldn't get any weirder, I found an even more absurd alien. Maxmin 11. Wonder why I haven't talked about the identification game at all? Well, it's because I suck ass at it, and so does Hassam, and along with apparently everyone else in nearly the entire server, all relative to Maxmin 11's insane score of level 50. And just to understand how ridiculous level 50 is for the identification game, we could use this formula, which is a simple code that lets the bot know how many brain rot photos to put into each GIF. We take the current level that the user's on, which in this case is 50, then we add 2 to that number, so 52, then we do a floor division by 3, and we get 17 images as a result, which in this case, it becomes extremely important to remember just how fast that ticks. I'm afraid to speak because I don't want to like scare you out.
Yeah, it's okay. I have some names for the images.
Oh, okay. So you gave the images names, is what you're saying?
Yes, because I need to somehow remember them as text-ish thing. If it's not the first ones I remembered or the last one, I guess in the middle what feels right. I have the blank spot, and then yeah, this blank spot is probably it.
Yeah, that like perfectly aligns with the psychology thing of like serial listing. That's really cool.
I don't know. I guess 14.
You got that correct?
No.
You
want
got
to do
that
15.
correct?
No, okay. I that wasn't okay. Let's see again. Okay, that was very random. When I remember the images, I open Paint and draw images from mind and write the words and try to come up with short words. So I had the shortest words possible.
You went into Windows Paint and started trying to map out each like thing?
Yeah, I can see the small images right here, so I just draw them and just name this one will be this and this one.
You
so
put these images into Google Paint and was like, yeah, this is Markov. This is Mario. That's crazy.
Just to make it the shortest possible, because I know that's a lot of the point. Because I need to quickly, in my mind, say the word. Because each word takes some time and more than the image is shown. So I slowly get behind and get this synchronized.
Yeah, because you speak the entire word in your head. So you're like, oh, let's just make the word small as possible, so you can just think as quick. How was your memory in everything but this game? Like, how's that
everything but this game? Yeah, so school, home stuff,
everything. I have pretty bad memory
for
most stuff. If I have to remember somebody's name, birthday, what they did, or even my breakfast, even what I had in breakfast this day, I quite cannot recall that most of the time.
That's crazy.
But if I learn something by myself, or if I enjoyed something too much, then I remember that. And also, as I said before, I have ADD and I have aphantasia.
And that's what I find the most interesting is like the fact that the 2 winners for the event end up being like the most unlikely people.
Yeah,
like,
I
feel that you just like wouldn't
memory.
guess. Anyways, do you have a PayPal or anything that I can send the money over to?
Yeah, thanks. Also, I want to say that you're a pretty great creator. Yeah.
Thank you.
A motivation boost, yeah.
Some motivation?
Yeah. Do you have a motivation for doing things?
I just need to post some more. So the results are in, and we can begin looking at the data the event yielded for each game. This here is what the stats look like for the visual game mapped out over the course of the entire event. But the issue is with trying to represent data like this is, we have a high density of people here during the start of the event that were really active, while near the end of the event we have more motivated people like Hassam and I just absolutely kicking everyone's ass. Which because what we're looking for is a correlation between the independent variable, being the days spent in the event, and the dependent variable, being people's scores. In this case, trying to find that statistic might be a bit deceiving because each person is playing at their own pace. So I believe a more accurate way to describe the relationship between games played and skill increase, we need to instead make the x-axis the percent of their total games played. So everyone's first few games would all be around the beginning, and their last few would always be near the end. Cool, but now in order to quantify any relationship, we need to use something called an R value. What an R value does is given 2 variables, it assigns a value based on how strong the trend is. How it works is if there's a perfectly strong negative correlation with no deviance, the R value would be -1. But as the points move around and it gets weaker, the R value gets closer and closer to 0, meaning there's absolutely nothing going on here, no correlation whatsoever. And if there's a positive correlation, then it goes in the positives. And just like the negatives, if there's a perfectly strong correlation that goes upwardly, the R value would be 1. So now by using that concept, we could see that the R value for the visual game was 0.23, meaning on average, people who played more tend to improve at the game, which is a good sign. But we could take it a step further and filter out everyone that was in the combination group, including me and Hassam, who had a larger variety of games to practice, and it still barely moves and settles itself at 0.24, this being a trend that we could find across nearly every game. Like in the maze game, with all the data together, it doesn't really matter which group we solo out, the R value tends to stay consistent at around 0.5, showing a consistent improvement rate for everyone who practiced. But what's strange is in the identification game, if we solo out only the people people who were in the group and meant to play it, we can see even though people like Maxman11 who were in that group had exceedingly good scores, the R value also says that they improved a lot, with a 0.37 correlation coefficient. But for some reason on this game, and this game only, if we sew out the combination group alone, we could see that there ends up being a really high difference in R values, coming all the way up to 0.53. So what gives? Why is it the combination group that isn't initially assigned towards this game, but rather the other games, ended up having a higher improvement rate? One explanation could be that it's just a fluke in the statistics, because there were noticeably less people who played this game in the combination group. Sure, that's a possible explanation, but it's not really satisfying. I mean, if anything, shouldn't the identification group have an edge? Because they can become more familiar with the format, and the pictures are inside the game. But no, why is this the case? I mean, looking at the standardized test scores, it becomes clear that the combination group overall performed better and got the higher scores. So would it be impossible to think that for some reason, the combination group just got passively better at the game that's all about identifying and encoding the order of pictures just because the other games just as well taught them to do that type of reflexive thinking? Who really knows? I can't really answer this. But from what it seems, all the data still does point towards the idea that, yes, given proper practice on certain fields of memory, seemingly anyone could improve. But now, have I improved? Last time I did the visual human benchmark test, I averaged 13.3 points, and that was 2 months ago. Since then, I haven't done anything except for participate in my memory event, and just to make it even more interesting, I waited an extra month after the event ended before I tried doing this test again, to try and fizzle out any temporary benefits, if there even was any. So let's play this again. I think I'm doing alright currently. Number 14. I remember this one being pretty hard last time. Oh shit, oops. Alright, I still got life. And do I fuck it up right after? Yes, yes, of course I screw it up. Okay, I'm back at 15. It was something up here. 16. Alright, I'm gonna start going slower. No! 19! Damn it! Damn it, I was so high. Alright, no, 19. We gotta run that back. I didn't know I could get that high. Okay, I'm back at 18. Oh no, I'm stuck here. Was there a third? No, it was like 3 here and a curve and 19. Okay, it was something up here and there's gotta be something over here. There we go. Alright, oh fuck, I didn't really look at this properly. Something, no, fuck. 20 points, okay. That's a lot higher than last time. I didn't think I would be able to get that high. So where does that put me? 99th percentile. Okay, that's not bad. But that was my best out of the 3 games I played. So how much did my average go up by? We divide by 3, it's 18 points. So I think my average is 4.67 points higher than it was before. All right, well, that's something. And just to be clear, I have not practiced this human benchmark game itself at all. This is purely just for me playing my own stupid coded memory games. Wow, that's interesting. So is that how I conclude this video? Saying photographic memory is absolutely trainable for everybody? No, of course not. But my #1 discovery I've learned from this project was understanding just how unique specialized memory really is. It's not always the one-dimensional subject I initially thought, but instead much more personalized for each person's learning style. I myself might not have been able to finish with any #1 position, but that's because I find myself much better at utilizing semantic memory. Being able to memorize every country in the world, all their flags, or even every element on the periodic table in just one sitting is what I'm good at. Even people like chess grandmasters who are known for their extraordinary recall ability, like being able to memorize 10,000 chess games, still somehow struggle on the exact same visual memory test that I was taking, only being able to get scores like 9. But what's important is although each person's style is unique, both mass scientific studies and our experiment concluded that putting in practice into such things in your daily life can be beneficial for your memory. So much so that even the 6-time USA Memory Tournament champion had this to say.
My family has a history of Alzheimer's. My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and that's actually what spurred this journey for me into the world of mnemonics. I didn't have a good memory before I learned about memory techniques and memory championships. The encouraging message here is that we all can improve our memories.
And that doesn't mean that you have to play brain-rotting memory games in order to improve, but just challenging yourself to memorize certain things just a little bit more in your day-to-day life can go a long way. But whatever. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to be in future videos and do things like the event I did in this video, feel free to join my Discord where I'll be spamming your phone very, very commonly. Just kidding, I won't actually spam your phone. But yeah, please do that. Hey, didn't I say that this video would only take 1 month to upload? Aw, fuck.